For years, we have been conditioned to believe in the gospel of force. We are taught that success demands brutal effort, that pushing harder and operating in a state of chronic urgency is the only measure of worth. But this urgency, this constant internal fight against the clock, is not a strategy. It is a biological defense mechanism. We have mistakenly applied the ancient survival response, designed for a saber-toothed tiger, to the complexities of modern wealth and fulfillment. What if the very act of forcing is the single greatest physiological blocker to everything you desire? What if the universe does not respond to pressure, but to precision? We must fundamentally redefine power. Calmness is not weakness, nor is it passive indifference. Calmness is the state of absolute coherence. It is when your brain and your heart, the two most powerful oscillators in your body, synchronize their rhythm. This is measurable physiology, not just a metaphor. When you achieve this, you amplify your electromagnetic field. The tension of forcing sends a scattered, contradictory signal static interference. But when you embody calmness, you send one clear energetic instruction to the quantum field: I trust the process of becoming, and I am ready to receive. This is where transformation begins, not when you push, but when you allow. But we often resist this truth. We have been conditioned to believe that effort alone creates results, that pushing harder, moving faster, and controlling every variable is the path to success. This cultural mythology of forcing is the great energetic blocker of our lives. Understand this urgency. The state of frantic forcing is not a strategic action. It is a primal evolutionary response. It tells your nervous system that you are in scarcity, that you are under existential threat, and that you must mobilize all energy for immediate survival. When you force an outcome, your entire system goes into contraction. Your breath shortens, your muscles tighten, your energy field collapses inward. This is the physiological signature of fear, scarcity, and distrust. And the universe cannot deliver abundance to a contracted system. When you try to force, you are broadcasting a low-frequency signal of contradiction. You say, I desire peace, but your body screams, I am fighting for survival. This internal chaos creates energetic static, ensuring that the opportunities meant for you cannot lock onto your frequency. Forcing is exhausting, inefficient, and ultimately self-defeating. It is the energetic waste that prevents millions from achieving their true potential. But we must go deeper than philosophy. We must examine the biological reason why forcing fails every time. When you engage in urgent forcing, you flood your system with stress hormones, the cortisol cascade. Cortisol, designed for managing short-term physical escape, is devastating when deployed against chronic, abstract stress like deadlines or financial worry. This chemical bath forces your brain into tunnel vision. Your magnificent cognitive resources, designed for creativity and insight, are redirected solely to managing the perceived crisis. You become trapped in the problem, physically incapable of seeing the solution. Crucially, cortisol actively suppresses access to the default mode network DMN. The DMN is the brain's inner universe, the state where intuition, creative connections, long-term planning, and most importantly, synchronistic insight occur. When your DMN is silenced by stress, you are neurologically blind to the subtle signs the universe sends you. You cannot receive guidance. You cannot notice the coincidence that changes everything. You have created a powerful biological barrier to your own manifestation. Forcing, therefore, is not a moral failing or a lack of effort. It is a biological mistake. You are using an outdated survival protocol against a modern, abstract challenge, and it is depleting your capacity to create. It is essential we recognize the profound mismatch theory at play here. Your stress response was optimized for a world that no longer exists the world of physical scarcity, where the hardest worker who could sustain the most pain won. But in the creative and information economy, success is determined not by brute force, but by the quality of your insight and the clarity of your flow. We live in a society that has fetishized exhaustion and sanctified the state of busy. We are trained by digital platforms, our modern Skinner boxes, to respond instantly, to value urgency over wisdom, and to believe that our value is derived from our perpetual state of tension. Calmness is the revolutionary act. It is the conscious rejection of this manipulative system. It is the high-leverage strategy that shifts you from the desperate action of the many to the inspired action of the few who fundamentally understand energetic alignment. Desperate action feels heavy, chaotic, and exhausting because it is driven by the fear that you are not enough. Inspired action feels light, clear, and empowering because it is driven by the internal knowing that you are already connected. How do we move from the contracted, fear-based state of forcing back into the receptive, creative state of allowing? The key is not mental willpower, but physiological control. The key lies in the longest and most powerful nerve in your body, the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the superhighway of your nervous system, responsible for activating the parasympathetic mode, the rest, digest, and connect state. Your capacity for calmness, your ability to receive, is physically measurable in what scientists call your vagal tone. When you are forcing, you are in low vagal tone, stuck in the sympathetic mode of fight or flight. But calmness is not the absence of stress. It is the high vagal tone state, where your body's default is regulation, connection, and safety. When you intentionally cultivate vagal tone, when you regulate your nervous system through conscious breathing, movement, and intentional stillness, you stop fighting yourself. You move your heart and brain back into coherence. High vagal tone is the biological evidence of trust. When your body is relaxed, your chemistry signals to your deepest self and the field around you that the environment is safe, that you are connected, that you are supported. This is the energetic instruction the universe can finally respond to. Your energetic signal is instantly clarified. Think of it: forcing creates a fragmented, noisy broadcast that the quantum field perceives as static. Calmness transforms that signal into a clear, focused, and high-powered transmission. When you remove the contraction and the cortisol-induced tunnel vision, your perception fundamentally changes. The universe has been sending you signals all along, intuitive nudges, synchronicities, opportunities, but you were biologically deaf and blind to them. This is the power of allowance. Allowance is not about sitting idly. It is about energetically creating space. It is the opposite of the ancient fear that drives you to micromanage every outcome. When you stop gripping, you create an energetic vacuum. The universe, by its nature, abhors a vacuum. When you release your doubts and your urgency, the possibilities that are already aligned with your highest frequency rush in to fill that space. This is the mechanism of effortless manifestation. We often confuse control with clarity. In the modern world's paradox of choice, we feel we must analyze, optimize, and calculate every step. But that heavy mental calculation keeps us in the stressed-out prefrontal cortex. Calmness allows us to bypass calculation and access intuitive receiving. Intuition is simply the language of alignment, and your body is the receiver. When your nervous system is balanced and your vagal tone is strong, you feel the difference between the fearful urgency of the past and the clear, light impulse of inspired action. Calmness is your highest form of intelligence. It is the master key that regulates your biology, dismantles outdated evolutionary fear, and clears the interference between your intention and the universal flow. It is the emotional identity of the person who is ready to receive what is already theirs. When you finally understand that calmness is a powerful signal that aligns you with what already belongs to you, you naturally come to the deeper, painful realization: the more you try to force life, the more it resists you. We have been conditioned to confuse pushing with productivity. We believe effort alone creates results. This is a profound, costly error rooted in our biology, a heuristic error of the modern age. Forcing is not an action, it is a survival reflex misapplied. Our nervous system evolved to deal with acute physical threats, the saber-toothed tiger. But we now use that same brute, primal energy to tackle abstract threats: a deadline, a financial worry, or a relationship problem. This is the mismatch theory in action. You are fighting a spreadsheet with the chemistry designed for a sprint to safety. When you force an outcome, you are broadcasting the frequency of fear, scarcity, and survival. Your body tightens, your breath shortens, your energy contracts. You have essentially told the universe, I do not trust the timing. I must control every detail, or everything will collapse. In that state of contraction, your energy field becomes chaotic, narrow, and incoherent. You cannot receive clear guidance. You cannot see new opportunities. You are working against the massive, natural flow of life. Forcing is the emotional signature of a person who believes they are separate from what they desire. You cannot force what is already yours, you can only align with it. When you feel stuck, heavy, and difficult, that is not a failure of effort. That is the physiological reality of resistance. It shows up in the clenching of your jaw, the tightening of your stomach, the tension in your chest. Long before you even recognize the thought in your mind, resistance is the opposite of creation. It collapses your energy inward, creating the frequency of limitation. Furthermore, cortisol, the hormone driving your forced urgency, induces tunnel vision. It shuts down access to the creative centers of your brain, silencing intuition and eliminating the possibility of synchronicity. You are trapped in a self-inflicted, biologically enforced loop of fear. We must recognize the insidious traps that modern life has designed to keep us stuck in this state of chronic urgency. This is not just a personal struggle. It is a structural challenge. To reclaim your natural flow, you must understand the architecture of the modern survival game. The first modern trap is the digital Skinner box. Our attention economy is meticulously engineered to keep your nervous system in a state of chronic, low-grade urgency. Social media, email notifications, breaking news, these are all deliberately designed to train your brain to prioritize the urgent over the important. These systems monetize your anxiety. They teach you to crave the instant, shallow hit of dopamine that comes from reacting immediately. You are being trained to be a responder, not a creator. Calmness is not just a virtue in this environment. It is a system disruptor. It is a revolutionary act of reclaiming your focus from the digital architects who profit from your distraction and fear. The second trap is the paradox of choice. We have been led to believe that more options equate to more freedom. In reality, the overwhelming excess of possibility, whether career paths, investment strategies, or even self-help methods, creates decision paralysis. When faced with infinite choices, the analytical mind goes into overdrive. We attempt to analyze, optimize, and micromanage every possible outcome to avoid future regret. This exhaustive mental calculation keeps you locked in a state of heavy action, perpetually calculating, perpetually pushing. But optimal results rarely come from calculation. They come from flow. Calmness is the only mechanism that allows you to bypass the overloaded prefrontal cortex and access intuitive receiving. Intuition is not magical thinking, it is the instantaneous processing of vast amounts of information a speed of decision-making that anxiety biologically inhibits. When you are calm, you trust the subtle inner impulse over the loud, fearful calculation of the ego. The highest form of value creation in the modern world, insight, innovation, revolutionary ideas, is not a product of frantic effort. It is a product of the default mode network DMN, the part of the brain that becomes active during downtime, during quiet, during calm. This is why the greatest discoveries rarely happen at the desk, but in the bath, on a walk, or right before sleep. The industrial age taught us that the more visibly busy we are, the more valuable we are. The information age demands the opposite. It demands high-leverage quiet. When you confuse motion with progress, you are trading your most valuable asset, your clarity, for the cheap, exhausting currency of Chronos clock time. We must shift to the currency of Kairos, the perfect, aligned moment. Calmness is your strategic advantage in a world designed for noise. The choice is simple. Do you continue to operate from a low-level, fearful contraction? Or do you choose the expansion of inspired action? We need a clear delineation between the two forms of momentum. Desperate action is driven by fear. It stems from the belief that if you don't act now, everything will fall apart. It feels heavy, forced, draining, and chaotic. Desperate action is the heavy, grinding effort of paddling a boat against the current. Desperate action is noise. It relies on micromanagement and brute force, exhausting your biological resources, cortisol, tension. It is rooted in the ego's need for control, desperately trying to manipulate the external world. Ironically, this is the least effective way to create sustainable success, because its energetic signature is unworthiness. Inspired action is driven by alignment. It stems from the inner knowing that the right step will reveal itself at the perfect moment, Kairos. It feels clear, precise, empowering, and ultimately effortless. Inspired action is pure signal. It is the conscious choice to trust the internal impulse over the external panic. The calm person is not inactive. They are energetically precise. They understand the principle of the archer. Maximum force is achieved not by frantic pushing, but by deep stillness, focused aim, and the perfect timing of release. They trade mass movement for surgical leverage. When your energy relaxes, your nervous system resets. When your nervous system shifts into trust-strong vagal tone, your electromagnetic field expands. You shift from reaction into intuition. This is why synchronicity is the language of alignment. When you stop forcing, you allow the field to organize resources, people, and ideas around you. Flow is natural, force is learned. The river does not panic when it encounters resistance. It adapts, flows around, and continues its journey, carving canyons not through struggle, but through persistence and non-resistance. Its power lies in fluidity. When you embody that fluidity, you stop fighting reality and start moving with it. When you finally stop gripping outcomes so tightly, something extraordinary begins to happen. You enter the state of allowance. Surrender is not giving up. It is the strategic release of resistance. When you panic and thrash in the river of life, you sink. When you stop fighting, the water's natural buoyancy supports you. Letting go is giving the universe room to work. When you release the vibration of fear, you create an energetic vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. That space, that openness, is instantly and naturally filled by possibility and synchronicities you could never have created through strenuous force. You are never waiting for the universe to decide. The universe is waiting for you to become the energetic match. Forcing keeps you anchored in the past, repeating old emotional patterns. Flow moves you into the future by allowing you to embody a new, receptive emotional identity. Trust is the gateway to this flow. Consider the sailor. If he fights the wind and paddles furiously, He expends massive energy and barely moves. But when he stops fighting, when he strategically adjusts his sails, the very wind that resisted him becomes the power that carries him. The universe works the same way. The moment you stop pushing and fighting your path, the moment you surrender your resistance, life begins to guide you with precision. You start moving faster by doing less. You start receiving more by relaxing more. You start attracting what you used to chase. Everything begins moving in your favor, not because life changed, but because you shifted your internal state. You became open. You became receptive. You became aligned. And in that alignment, you entered the natural, powerful current of life. Stop believing force is the path to creation. Relax your grip. Let the current of life carry you. Let the universe reorganize circumstances, people, resources, and opportunities into your path with a grace you could never have achieved through force. This grace is called coherence. Calmness doesn't just change your inner state. It transforms your energetic signature and turns you into a magnet for miracles. Calmness is not the absence of stress. It is the presence of coherence. Coherence is magnetic. When your body is calm, your emotions regulated, and your mind is no longer projecting fear into the future, you enter a measurable physiological state. When scientists measure the electromagnetic field of the heart, they confirm its power. It is thousands of times stronger than the field produced by the brain, extending several feet beyond the body. When someone is calm, the heart produces a smooth, coherent waveform. This heart coherence is not mystical metaphor. It is measurable physiology. You are never just feeling an emotion. You are broadcasting an electromagnetic instruction. Fear contracts your field. Stress distorts your signal. But deep, centered, embodied calmness turns you into a powerful transmitter of coherence. This coherence is what makes you magnetic. Think of it this way: incoherence creates static. Calmness creates a clear broadcast. You may be asking for abundance, but if your energy is chaotic, the signal is fragmented. The field cannot match chaos with clarity. But when you are deeply calm, your energy becomes readable, distinct, and a perfect match for a higher level of possibility. Calmness is the bridge between intention and manifestation. In this state, you do not chase miracles. You do not beg for them. You become the frequency that attracts them. Just as a magnet simply radiates a field, you radiate a frequency that naturally draws the right opportunities and synchronicities into your orbit. This is the ultimate leverage. Let us go deeper into this ultimate advantage. The moment you return to calmness, you stabilize your vibration. You stop oscillating wildly between fear and hope, between doubt and desire, between impatience and intention. You become consistent in your signal. And consistency is the profound, foundational key to magnetism. A stable vibration attracts stable results. The person who embodies calmness emits a field that the universe recognizes as safe, a field that can hold immense blessings without collapsing under them. When your inner world becomes steady, your outer world becomes instantly responsive. You no longer confuse the universal field with mixed signals. You no longer send out fear-based, scarcity-driven energy, while simultaneously asking for love-based, abundance-filled outcomes. You become energetically congruent. This congruence is rare, and that is precisely why it is so profoundly powerful. Most people mistake manifestation for ideas, affirmations, or visualization. These tools are important, but they only work when your baseline emotional environment matches the frequency of what you desire. Calmness is the emotional environment where that match becomes fundamentally possible. Calmness is the baseline of receiving. It is the emotional signature of the individual who is not desperate, the one who is not afraid, the one who deeply trusts their placement in the cosmic architecture. They understand that what is theirs cannot pass them by. This level of unwavering trust creates a palpable field around you. People sense this profound presence. They feel drawn to the stillness of your energy. Conversations unfold with remarkable ease. Opportunities appear without forced effort. Life begins to move in unexpected, almost surprising ways. And all of it happens simply because you are broadcasting a clear, coherent signal. The frequency of calmness says, I am connected. I am trusting. I am aligned. I am ready to receive. Miracles do not rush to the person who is tense and gripping, clinging to control. They come to the person who is relaxed and open. Your focused energy becomes a doorway. Your deep calmness becomes the invitation. The universe does not, and cannot, ignore that invitation. It responds to coherence with remarkable precision. Therefore, we must treat calmness not as a fleeting mood, but as a strategic practice. It is a daily energetic discipline. You must train your nervous system specifically, strengthening your vagal tone, the same way you would train a primary muscle group. This is the application of neuroplasticity. Return to calmness, even when tension initially arises. Return to calmness, even when old fear-based patterns attempt to hijack your system. Return to calmness, even when the immediate outcome remains deeply uncertain. Because the more often you intentionally return to that centered state, the stronger your coherent field becomes. Every single choice reinforces the new neural pathway. Calmness is how you precisely tune your physical body into the frequency of miracles. Calmness is how you enter the functional field, where all possibilities actually exist. Calmness is how you effortlessly pull the extraordinary into your ordinary, everyday life. Do not chase miracles. That is the exhausting language of fear and lack. Instead, become the magnet for miracles that is the empowering language of deep, scientific alignment. And alignment is perpetually born from deep, embodied calmness. When you choose to embody calm, you set a frequency that the universe cannot afford to ignore. You become the magnet, and miracles become the metal. They move toward you with natural momentum, because you are no longer resisting, no longer questioning, and no longer doubting your sacred place in the cosmic flow. Your calmness is the signal. Your calmness is the magnet. Your calmness is the doorway to the miraculous.